you've surprised us all again by like just making this not nearly as crazy a pick as it seemed. Like
your reactions, everybody's reactions were hilarious. Everybody started laughing, and I'm like, what? What's so funny?
Welcome to Keep It Fictional, a weekly podcast for book lovers by book lovers. Build your to-be-read list with Sadie, Liz, Virginia, Fiona, and Corrine from the Port Moody Public Library. Warning, this podcast contains strong opinions and may cause an increase in your library holds list.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to another special episode of Keep It Fictional. If you have been tuning in for the last couple of weeks, you will know that we have been doing some special episodes where we all recommend a book to one of the members of our crew. However, it's not just a straight recommendation. That would be too easy. We gotta flex. So, how it works is we choose a book that we think the other person would not generally pick up off the shelf. It's not what they usually go for. However, there's got to be something in it that we think they will enjoy. We're not trying to put them through a horrible time here. You know, we don't want to, most of the time, sometimes, you know, we want to challenge them, but ultimately, the goal is to pick something they like so that they choose your book and you are the queen of book recommendations.
I was going to say the winner, so you're the winner.
Exactly, yeah. Right? There's no winners here except for that.
Except for the winner. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The regent of recommendations.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Have we been keeping track of who's?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Well, I was going to say, I already have a winner under my belt, so I'm just kind of taking it easy.
Yeah, I'm still a bit salty about that, but it's fine.
So today I am with Sadie and Virginia and Corrine, and Liz is the one who's missing. And that's because today is Lizapalooza. So we will be choosing books for Liz. We have already secretly given these books to Liz, so she does not know who they come from, and she has had the opportunity to read them. However, it was a bad pick. Maybe she didn't read them. No pressure. All right. So before we get into each of the books, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Liz. And I know Liz does not love being the center of attention, but it does warrant it for this episode. So I feel like all of us here can see a book and be like, that is a Liz book. There is a very specific, like, literary translation that is the Lizist book. If it's Murakami, that is the Lizist book. However, it was really hard to choose for her because she really will read anything. So finding something that was like, oh yeah, no way, she'd never pick that up was really, really tough. She's not keen on things that are like super popular. She pretty much will read any format, but kind of leans towards short stories and novellas. But like she said, she's very much a mood-based reader. So my first thought was like, I'll go to YA. She never reads YA. Well, the last 3 things on her read list were YA.
We're not stalking her Goodreads at all.
Yeah, it's part of the process for sure. And I've also noticed she's got a really wide degree of formats that she'll read, like ebooks, audiobooks, graphic novels. She's all of them. She runs the gambit. So I'd love to hear from the other panelists. What challenges did you find in particular with picking for Liz?
I think the mood-based thing, definitely, because even given it's a book that you think is perfect for Liz, maybe she doesn't feel like it. So how do we know? It's like an extra challenge, even if it is a book that she normally would read, maybe she doesn't feel like it. So what did she feel like reading in the last few weeks? I don't know, right? I think the other thing also is that I feel like it has to be on her own terms. Like she has to pick it. So I love how like when I watch like some of the books that she chooses to read, it's always like things that she discover, like, if she's getting an advanced copy, it's things that she discovered rather than like someone saying that, oh, this is a great book, this is going to be the hit of the season kind of thing. She definitely doesn't like that, like you said, Fiona. So it has to be something that she discovered herself. I feel like, she's definitely very open to reading a lot of things, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have strong feelings. She has very strong feelings, but afterwards, she's willing to give everything a try, and then afterwards, she will have very strong feelings. But in a very diplomatic way, because Liz is probably one of the most diplomatic person I've ever met. So she would never really quite say it, but you could tell she has strong feelings about it. But she's saying it so nicely. Then you're like, does she like it? Does she not like it? I don't know, because she's so nice about it. Can't quite tell. But strong feelings, definitely.
Oh no, there's a facial expression that she gets when she really didn't like something. She won't say the word. She'll just kind of go, eh. And that little like expression of air. Yeah. That 1 second you're like, oh, you hated that. You didn't care for that at all. But you have to really listen for it. Like, eh.
I think what I struggled with is I feel like me and Liz have very different tastes in books for the most part. Granted, there are some crossovers that will happen. And so I think that if I went full Sadie book, I could have found something that Liz would never pick up. But the challenge for me was finding something that Liz would never pick up, but Liz would still enjoy, which I don't know if she would still enjoy the full Sadie books. So that was definitely my struggle, is kind of finding that middle ground where, okay, she's not going to gravitate toward this, but she'll still like it because we want her to like it. I feel like that is what this is all about. We really, truly do want, like Fiona said, we want Liz to pick our book. We want to be the winner so bad.
It's all about that. It's not about Liz. We just want to win.
And by winning, Liz will enjoy the book.
Liz also wins. Liz also wins.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I struggled with.
Yeah. I think what you had mentioned, Fiona, that there's a very like Liz book, and I often tease her, is that if there is the word emotionally evocative on the cover, then it's a Liz book. Or any variation of like emotionally devastating, heart-wrenching, something that's got like a big emotional punch. But I think what I'm always impressed by Liz is that she really responds to the quality of writing. So if it is a bad story, but is kind of like well told and she likes the writing, she will power through it, because I think she really responds to quality prose. And so for me, this was really difficult because I wanted to choose a book that was like outside of her wheelhouse that she would like, because I want to impress Liz. I want to impress her. I want her to like my book, because I like her the stuff that she really, I think she has just like really good taste. Liz is a person of exquisite taste. She knows all the best restaurants, all the best places for ice cream, all the best books. And so I wanted to choose something that was of like really outside of her wheelhouse, but maybe something that would still have that quality of writing that she would respond to, even if it wasn't a particular genre that I think is her jam.
Yeah, and also I think that like she doesn't have a specific, like when you ask her like, what is your favorite, right? Like, what's your favorite author? She doesn't really have a specific one. They're very few. She's totally open to judging the books just, by the quality of the book. So it's not like, oh, like if one of her authors come over a book, she's definitely for sure going to read it. I don't think that's how it works for Liz. It's like she'll stay open-minded, like, and try it out. And she just even some authors that she's liked before, she's like, I don't know, I'm going to judge you by this particular book. So she's very much that, like, she won't prejudge. Whereas I think some of us are like, oh, so-and-so is coming on a new book. And it's like, like we're also excited. I don't think that's how it works for Liz. She's definitely by the quality of the story, by the quality of the writing and all that. So it's very objective to start with. And I think that's what makes it tricky. Because I think Sadie is right. Like, I can totally think of like totally not Liz book, but I know that she won't like it. So I'm not going to pick it, right? Like, so it's tricky.
Mm-hmm. Liz doesn't give a hoot for reputation.
You have to win her, keep winning her.
Exactly. She's going to judge it by that book and not your reputation alone, or what we know she hates, buzz. She hates buzz.
Yes.
Okay, now that we've like just upped the stakes so much, let's get into what we actually picked and find out if we just, just put Liz through an excruciating time or whether she actually found something she liked. So, Corinne, you want to start us off today?
I struggled so much. I devoted so much brain power to trying to figure this out. And immediately after I chose the book, I came home and I was like, oh, you done messed up, Corinne. You done messed up. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. But it's a good book. And that's kind of what I went for. I went for something that I knew was a storyline that Liz is interested in. I went with a genre that I know she doesn't read. And I went for kind of a different format for Liz. So I tried to like good writing primarily, and then weird other stuff for her. And I eventually went with Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. And this was actually one of my favorite books when it came out. It is a Newbery Honor book, which means it has the highest quality of writing for children in that particular year. It was the honor, so it is well recognized as really amazing writing. And it is a book for middle grade, I would say, which is outside of Liz's usual reads. I know she does YA, but she doesn't tend to you don't find her in the children's section often unless she's helping someone. So I thought I would go there as kind of unfamiliar territory for her. And it is also a novel in verse. So it is a narrative story told in little snippets of poetry. So I thought that would also kind of be outside of Liz's wheelhouse. But Jasmine Warga manages to pack so much punch into each of these poems. And it is definitely emotionally evocative. It is also a wonderful author, a diverse author, talking about a story of immigration and refugees, which I know Liz is very interested in. So I thought that would have enough kind of appeal to draw her into a format and a genre that she's not particularly keen on, but I knew would give a try. So it is the story of Jude, who lives in Syria. She lives on kind of a seaside touristy town where her father owns a candy shop. And she goes to school and she loves American movies and she loves speaking in English. She is the best in her entire class at speaking in English. She loves chocolate bars and she loves her family, although she hasn't been able to see a lot of her older brother. Jude knows that something is happening in her country. Her brother at university has been acting more distant, having more arguments with their parents. He's talking about leaving to go join a cause that Jude doesn't really understand. And as the situation becomes more and more volatile in their hometown, Jude's father decides to take a drastic step. Because Jude's mother is pregnant, they are expecting a child, and he knows that it is going to be dangerous for Jude. He decides to send Jude and her mother to the United States without him. This is a really difficult decision for Jude, who is taken away from everything she knows, her hometown, from her best friends, from the food that she loves, the community that she knows, and her beloved family, and sent all the way into, of all places, Cincinnati. To say it is a culture shock is an understatement. Everything is new, including the way that people look at and feel about Jude. She starts going to an American middle school where people treat her differently based on her appearance and have a lot of assumptions about her because she is what they call Middle Eastern and a Muslim. And she has a hard time fitting in. She has been sent to go live with relatives, and they don't necessarily understand where she has been and what she has come from. And so her cousin just ignores her, pretends that she doesn't exist. And Jude really has to struggle to find her place in all of this, to find her place at school, to find her place within this new family that she's living in, to kind of find her own voice and to speak up when she needs to. It is emotionally evocative. It is beautiful. It is for sure a little bit of a tearjerker. It is a hopeful book because I think middle grade at its core is very hopeful about things, but it doesn't shy away from the difficulties that Jude faces in America and by extension, North America as well. So there is Islamophobia. There is expectations on her because she is a girl. There is conflict between herself and second generation immigrants in Cincinnati. It's a rich, meaty book that's kind of packed into like these beautiful little poems. So I was really hoping that the quality of this book and the beauty of the story would appeal to Liz. So that is why I chose Other Words for Home.
Can't wait to hear what you thought of it. Okay, I'm actually going to butt in line here and talk about mine because I have this fear of going last and just having it also fresh. So I did something a little bit wild. The book I chose was Star Wars Resistance Reborn. So this is a tie-in novel, and I could not tell you the plot because it's very convoluted and confusing. But it comes between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. And it picks up immediately after The Last Jedi. Okay, so this book is by Rebecca Roanhorse, which is very important information. Sadie has talked about some of her books. And she is an author of Indigenous and African-American descent and has written some awesome sci-fi and fantasy novels. Okay, so I don't even know where to start to like justify this. I have oh my gosh! Corinne has a copy. She's holding up the picture, which is great.
I want to hear you explain this because I know how much you love Star Wars. So please, Fiona, take it away.
Okay. So first, let me say that I have no idea how Liz feels about Star Wars, but I am guessing it's either entirely indifferent or believes that it is overrated. So why would I choose a Star Wars Resistance Reborn? Excellent question. Let me try to explain. The reason I love Star Wars is because it's actually a lot of the tie-in things that I prefer over like the big movies. Some of the graphic novels are really great because behind this whole like good and evil, a lot of the side stories focus on a universe where there is so much injustice. And there is so many enslaved people, so many people being taken advantage of. So for me, that's the appeal. For Liz, I was hoping the appeal would be Rebecca Roanhorse. And the novelty of that, because I feel like as a mood-based reader, something that sometimes draws Liz is the novelty, the tie-in of something. I'm also know that Liz is a big CBC listener, and I'm banking a little bit that maybe she heard about this book through CBC. Everyone's giving me the weirdest looks, but there was this great interview with Rebecca Roanhorse about Indigenous inspiration in Star Wars. So there's also sorts of like really cool stuff about like Leia's hairdo is actually inspired by a Hopi hairdo, and sort of how that hasn't always been acknowledged. This book was really what Rebecca Roanhorse saw as an opportunity, although she was still using existing characters. It's about Poe, it's about Leia, to really pull in those influences more directly, to create worlds in which that culture and identity is acknowledged. Okay, so I threw in the wild card thinking maybe Liz is just having a wild day and her mood is to be surprising. It wouldn't be surprising if Liz's mood was to be surprising. But where it really fell flat is that I realized I didn't read it. I didn't read any of the writing. So I think that Corinne made a great point. And I think it can be difficult for writers to like write around, a specific plot and a specific world. So I would love to pick it up. Maybe I'll borrow Corinne's copy and see how the writing actually is, because there's a chance that I just threw Liz something so random that she hates and maybe isn't even written well. And if that's the case, I can't wait to hear her roast it.
I am so excited. And I just have to clarify for my fellow Star Wars people out there, it's a prequel to The Rise of Skywalker. I know you were all internally screaming, so it's prequel to The Rise of Skywalker. Wild choice, Fiona. Wild choice.
One of my favorite things about these episodes is listening to Fiona talk about the books. It has been amazing, Fiona.
You just like seeing me flounder? Like, what did I do?
I think it's so great because you are so convinced every single time that no one is ever going to pick the book that you have selected for them. So it'll be interesting. I'm curious. Maybe this is the one. Maybe this is the one for Liz.
Can you imagine?
So far, you're batting 50%, Fiona.
All right, let's go to Virginia for a likely more logical choice.
Well, I'm going to have to say, I feel like I've met like maybe half of this challenge, because just like Fiona said earlier, I did immediately went to like, which is the section in the library that she doesn't go into? And I went into YA. But you're right, she has been reading YA. So I'm just like, Liz, come on, why would you do that? But I was convinced that that's not a section that she go visit. So when I went there, so that was like my 50% that I thought maybe. So now it's more like 30% that I have actually met this challenge. Because once I was in there, I'm looking around and I remember a book that I read a few years ago and I really like it. And I think like, Liz has already said she doesn't mind things that are messed up. She doesn't mind things that are graphic. She doesn't mind things that are a little extreme. I think she does occasionally read psychological thrillers. So I don't know whether she's in the mood for some like creepy children. So I hope she has been in the mood for creepy children, because the book that I picked for her is My Sister Rosa by Justine Larbalestier. I love this book. It's so messed up, so creepy, but it's been a while, so hopefully it works for Liz. So this is a story about a 17-year-old teenager named Che. He is kind of tasked with, and he kind of tasked himself with this, is taking care of his sister Rosa. But most of the time when you say you're going to take care of his siblings, because like his parents like to move around a lot, they have just moved from Australia to actually Bangkok, and then now to New York. So it's a completely new place, and it's not good when you're moving your kids around all the time. And he kind of knows that, and he wants to make sure that his sister is good. But usually when you're talking about taking care of your sister, you want to make sure that you protect your sister from like all the bad things that are happening around you. But in this case, it's more like protecting the world from his sister, because his sister is a psychopath. It has met all the criteria for being a psychopath. Even when as a baby, Che will tell you that like she doesn't know how to express emotions. She learned how to supposed to smile, or what is supposed to smile. But Che knows, like, that is not Rosa. She's just putting everything on. She is this cute little 10-year-old girl, so everybody loves her. But Che knows that she is a psychopath. She does a lot of things that she will only tell Che about, and not anyone else, not even the parents. And the parents thought that nothing is wrong, and they won't really believe Che, but he knows, because there's a lot of things that she did that she just won't say. Like the first scene that we met, they were on a plane to New York. Rosa has some guy's passport because she didn't like the guy. Like the guy acts funny on the airport and she didn't like him. So she decided to steal his passport and then throw it out of the car. Like that's the kind of things that Rosa does. So we do need to protect the world from Rosa. And he sort of take it upon himself to do so. But he's also a 17-year-old moving a new place. He just wants to have a normal life. He wants to get a girlfriend. He wants to be able to continue to do boxing and all that. So how do you protect the world from this creepy child that nobody believes is doing all these things? So I feel like it's a very character-driven story, even though it has also a really great plot going on. It's got a great voice. I think Che has a really good voice. I really like that. There's a little bit of that sort of unreliable narrator because we really don't know what's going on. And I don't know how Liz feels about unreliable narrator, so I don't know. But I think she likes creepy children, so maybe this will work for her. I don't know. It's got a lot of like diverse cast of characters, even though the main characters are white, but like they do come across a lot of different diverse characters. So I think she will enjoy that. So yeah, so we'll see.
She likes creepy children.
Who doesn't?
Sadie.
Sadie.
Yeah, that's
All right.
true.
Let's hear from Sadie.
Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, I could have just gone with a straight Sadie book and known that it would be so far out of Liz's wheelhouse. So I would have covered that side, but I didn't really want to do that because I still wanted her to like it. But then I struggled so much to think of something for Liz. So I think that I still just kind of went with a straight Sadie book. So similar to others in this group, I went YA. My mind immediately went YA. And then Liz started popping up all of these YA picks. And yeah. And I know that she'd read YA in the past, but it was not her main go-to. But yes, I feel like lately there have just been quite a few YA books that she has been talking about or that she has been reading. But I did stick with my YA, stick to my guns for YA. And I know that Liz generally likes to read things that are more present-based, but she will read historical stuff. So I did pick one that is a historical one. I know that she will read mystery, but won't usually, her mystery is usually a bit more thriller-based than more kind of structured genre mystery style things. So I did go with a bit of a more genre mystery style. I'm just going to tell you what it is because I just don't know. I feel like I'm with Fiona on this one. I'm a little bit, I think that it's too far out of her wheelhouse. So I picked a book called The Clockwork Scarab by Colleen Gleason. So this is the first book of a YA paranormal historical mystery series. I loved it. I absolutely love this series. I think there's 3 or 4 books in it, and it follows 2 what kind of teen characters. We have Eveline Stoker and Mina Holmes. So you might recognize some of those names. Eveline Stoker is the sister of Bram Stoker, and Mina Holmes is the niece of Sherlock Holmes. So they are living in an alternate Victorian London. So it's kind of a steampunk-ish Victorian London. And the story revolves around society girls, society women going missing and turning up dead. And Irene Adler, who you will know if you know Sherlock, she has recruited Mina and Eveline to look into these disappearances and these murders because of their expertise, because of their family connections. Eveline comes from a long line of vampire hunters. Mina, of course, comes from the family of the famous detective. So it is sort of your typical historical mystery, Victorian mystery, with a few odd things thrown into it. There is some random time travel that is in there, which I know Liz did read This Is How You Lose the Time War. So she has read time travel books before. Familiar characters. I honestly don't know how she feels about Sherlock Holmes as sort of a world that she likes to read about. So she might absolutely hate everything Sherlock. And this book would not probably be the fit for her. But so it's a bit more fun. I definitely did not fit the emotionally evocative feel to the story. It is not emotional. It is not evocative. It is more of a fun, fast-paced, historical, Victorian, paranormal mystery. I am not selling it. I feel like I said, I absolutely love this series. I zoomed through all of them when I first read them, but I think that it probably fits me more than it might fit Liz, but you never know. As we said, she is a mood-based reader, so maybe she was looking for something a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit funner, more fun, and maybe she picked it up.
Thanks, Sadie. So something I've been dying to say, and I hope that Liz doesn't mind, is that when the Twilight retelling from the point of view of, I don't remember what the vampire's name is. Edward came out. Liz read it. And I loved this because I thought I had her figured out. Or like, you know, not figured out, but like her books figured out. And then it was just like curveball. Like, so I do feel like she has the potential to enjoy like pulpier, like things that are just for fun. And I mean, like, you know, I think we can all agree that the writing in Twilight is not, you know, not really up there with the general things that Liz reads. So I wanted the world to know that because I think that's amazing. Okay. Here's what we're going to do now. We're going to hold, actually, probably more all of us in suspense than anything else. We're going to bring Liz in. Liz, are you there? Are you ready to come in? Do you want to come in?
Everybody, you're so hilarious. This is so funny. It's also it's a very strange experience to hear what people know about you or think they know about you, and we shall see, won't we? Yeah, but thanks everybody for taking the time to you know, obviously put a lot of thought into books that I would hopefully like and maybe kind of expand my horizons a bit. So
I'm dying to know Liz's thoughts on Fiona's pick, though.
All right, Liz, take us through what you thought and which book you decided.
Did you guess them right, Liz?
Did I guess them right?
Give you.
I had Fiona's pick pegged from the beginning. So that was constant for me. The rest I kept changing my mind about. And then, of course, you change one and then the other two change. And then I just got very confused at the end. But then once Colleen announced her book, then I figured it out. So I'm not very good at the guessing part. But that's okay. It all worked out. So I'll just go in order in which they were presented. So Colleen chose Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. I did read this book all the way through. I really enjoyed it. It was a very pleasant surprise. Like Colleen was saying, it walks that fine line between being hopeful yet not being too glossing over too much and about, you know, the atrocities of, you know, families being separated because of the war. Yeah, and it was actually emotionally evocative, which really surprised me. There were some points in the story where I was reading and I kind of got emotional and I was like, what? Where is this shelved? Like, what is going on here? So that was a very pleasant surprise. It's a book that I wish that, like the type of book that I wish that I had available to me and read when I was a child. So I could see a character that, like myself, and maybe had a similar cultural background, a similar, you know, family history, and to see somebody in that situation owning who she is and not compromising who she is while still embracing her new home. So really wish I had something like this. So I'm so happy this is available for kids and even adults. So great job, Colleen. Definitely enjoyed Other Words for Home. Okay, and now Fiona's book. I feel like everybody's more excited to hear about Fiona's book than their own book. So yeah, when I saw this book in the pile, Star Wars Resistance Reborn by Rebecca Roanhorse, that's a lot of R's. My first thought was, okay, one of these things is not like the other. So it was a surprise. And I did have to, when I saw that this was the Journey to Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, I had to figure out what that meant and, you know, sort of what happened in the movie before and, you know, what happened with Rise of Skywalker. I do enjoy Star Wars. I'm not a hardcore fan, but I did watch all the movies when they came out in the theater. So a bit of a fan, casual fan. I have read books that are part of fandoms before, although not a lot. So I've read one for Star Trek The Next Generation going way back. I've read the Leia, Princess of Alderaan graphic novel, which I really enjoyed. So good. Yeah, and the big draw for this one was definitely that it was written by Rebecca Roanhorse. I haven't read any of her other work before, and I've been meaning to, so this was a a different way to get my feet wet with her writing, which I really enjoy. It's nice and snappy. Also, Poe Dameron features prominently on the cover. He's one of my more favorite characters in the sort of newer, or that batch of, the Skywalker films. There was literally like maybe 1 or 2 mentions of Kylo Ren, which is great because I can't stand that character whatsoever. Sorry, I know Fiona, I know he kind of floats your boat. He doesn't, not for me, more of a Poe girl. So I wasn't really sure what to expect. When you have 2 movies that have come out already, and then you've got this one book that's sort of sandwiched in between. But after kind of getting into the whole, language around the Star Wars universe, I really enjoyed it. It's like the movies. They have all this build-up, all these descriptions, all these, where are we going to go now? Who's on the ship? And then they have the missions, and then everything happens in a blur, and then they have a party after. So it was like, oh, I like that. Yeah, it was a good time, and you kind of know when you're looking into the Star Wars universe that ultimately it's there for your entertainment. So yeah, I liked it. Good job, Fiona.
I love that you surprised us all again by like just making this not nearly as crazy a pick as it seemed. Like
your reaction, everybody's reactions were hilarious. Everybody started laughing, and I'm like, what? What's so funny? Okay, and the next pick, this is Virginia's, and it's My Sister Rosa by Justine Larbalestier. This one, I would definitely call this more in my wheelhouse. Darker psychological fiction, sort of kind of international plot twists, like it, dark and twisty. I'm always up for dark and twisty. So this one I have not finished. I have started reading it. The writing is very good. The writing quality is very good. The creepy child, I thought I was okay with creepy children. I think I kind of learned a bit about myself. Yeah. And I was trying to figure out why. What about this particular creepy child story didn't grab me? Was it the timing? Like, am I just not in the mood? Because obviously the other 2 books that I've read, they are more of like feel good at the end of it. For this one, I feel like because it's the 17-year-old that's been put in this imposing situation to take care of this child who's obviously trying to trick everybody, literally sounds evil. I think that was what kind of turned me off of it a bit. It's not so much the narrator, the brother Che. I thought his character so far very good, writing very good, but the situation that his parents put him in, terrible parents, the things they've exposed him to and his younger sister to and expect him to do at just 17 years. Like, he literally turned 17 at the beginning of the movie. I thought that is just so horrendous. And why are they even in this situation? So that was the implausibility of that kind of was a turnoff for me. Would I continue this book at some point? I think I would if I'm looking for something dark again. Maybe this is my light period. I don't know. But yeah, I do normally like psychological fiction, like Baby Teeth by Zoe Stage is a good creepy child one. The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, a lighter yet still creepy child story, was also good. So yeah, context with like sort of who else is there around the creepy child. Let's just say that. And then this Sadie pick, The Clockwork Scarab by Colleen Gleason. As you can see, I have started this one as well. I have not yet finished it. However, this is definitely, usually I have two or three books on the go at any given time. This will continue to be one of them till I finish it. I'm really liking the whole Miss Holmes, Miss Stoker bit in the Victorian era. I do like Egyptology. I really dig steampunk. You'd never know it by the basic way I dress, but I really dig steampunk. Yeah, just that sort of world, that kind of Victorian time period I do quite enjoy. I love Murdoch mysteries, so that kind of will tell you that. So it's kind of similar. So far it feels very Murdoch mystery-esque, which I'm like, yeah, I can roll with this. I have been trying to get into mysteries more and not just the really like graphic, gruesome, Nordic quality, like of crime and gore. So yeah, so far so good with this one. So it's a Sadie book and I like it. So thanks everybody. It was fun to try and figure out who picked what and why, and to get a taste for each of them and try different things.
Well, and I think that you have proven, Liz, just how wide-ranging your book tastes are, and I think that that we might not have thought that. We thought we were picking books that were so far out of your range, but yet they were not as far out as we thought, which is great.
Surprise!
I also love that you immediately knew that the Star Wars one was Fiona.
Yeah, I don't know how. Just had a hunch.
Oh, yeah, and it was Liz that I initially had picked something, like, I guess that was even more wild than that, and I had to change my mind, so probably best for everyone.
It all worked out.
I think the most important thing that we learned is that Poe Dameron is the best character in the new Star Wars franchise, and Kylo Ren is the pits.
I have nothing to author to this conversation.
Someone murders their own father and then you still like them. That's a bond. I wish I'd never said that.
Speaking of messed up children, yeah, Kylo Ren is up there. Yeah.
Maybe there's like a creepy child Star Wars prequel in there about creepy child Kylo Ren.
I mean, what is Kylo Ren but a creepy child all grown up?
True. Creepy man child. Okay. Yeah, like I admit it.
Anyways, this is little Lizapalooza. We
Right.
need to end
All
on a
about
Liz
fun.
note. Yes.
Thank you so much, Liz. That was fun. Just always enjoy learning more about you and how wide your reading tastes are.
Well, thanks everybody. This has been fun. Can't wait to do it again sometime.
Thanks, everyone, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you like our show, please tell a fellow book lover about it. You can find a list of all the books we discussed in our show notes. Join us next week for another fun book chat. Until then, keep it fictional.